Welcome, welcome, welcome to Confessions of a Publisher, ladies and gentlemen. How are you doing out there? And I act like
Hey.
I can hear y'all. Okay, so hey, y'all, we got the sister publishing companies in the building. We have She Publishing, Allure Publishing, and Inspired Publishing coming to you live from Confessions of a Publisher. And we are so excited to be here tonight.
Yes, yes,
Yes.
yes.
Hello.
This is going to be a
Man,
really good one tonight, guys. This is going to be really
Hmm.
good.
yeah. I mean, what we're going to be talking about tonight, y'all? Who's the book
Mm.
of the month?
Of the month. You
Mhm.
ready? Bam.
Ooh,
Yes, yes. And I'm telling
yes.
you, if you have not gotten this book, you need to go
Hmm.
and get it. When I tell you I sat with no interruptions because it was such a page turner, but it
Yep.
was absolutely
Hmm.
amazing read.
And the way
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I was at work, ooh ah, at work in my little cubicle, trying not to get attention. Like, yeah.
It's a tearjerker.
Hmm.
It's just it's just real
Yeah.
life. It's raw and it's candid.
Hmm. Yeah.
So
Yeah. It's definitely a powerful read, and the round table that we have today, it's a couple of us here, and I'm just gonna go ahead and we're gonna bring everybody on, and everybody's gonna introduce themselves, and we're gonna like dive right into it and get right into it. And just to let you guys know, this is being aired on YouTube at the moment only on my social media platform. Something is gone wrong with the Facebook platform, but that's totally fine.
Hmm.
But anybody who is on YouTube and know anybody who's on Facebook, you can probably go to Lashonder Demery's page and see this on that page. But without further ado, I am going to welcome first our special guest, Lashonda Demery. How are you?
I am well. How are you?
Great, great. And you. And then we are going to go ahead and introduce some of our other guests who we have on the show. I will introduce the author of the Black Cyrano series, Mark Bosajor. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Black Sereno coming at y'all. What's up? I'm still working on the intro, but that's what it's looking like right now. But I'm happy to be among this panel. Is like Shanita, Dr. Calentia, and Dr. Eloja. Is like all three of y'all are like a triumvirate. You know what I'm saying? Like the Romans used to have, like the triumvirate. So it's like I'm in a black publishing triumvirate, with y'all
Man.
three, and it's an honor to be here and to discuss this amazing book. So I I told y'all, but I don't think I told Lashonda yet. The first when I got this book because I ordered it through Amazon. When I ordered it, literally the first night, so I couldn't sleep. It was Saturday, and I finished doing all my usual chores, went to bed. I woke up at 3 a.m. and I had this book next to me in my pillow. I'm like, you know what? Let me just go ahead and break it open. So I said, okay, let me read. And when I tell you that I did not put it down, like it kept me up. Like not a lot of books keep me up at night, but this book right here, it was so good. And each page, it's like each chapter had me wanting to know what's going to happen next. So I couldn't put it down, and I had to force myself to go back to sleep. We'll talk about it later, but it was just
we
that
sh-
good.
yeah, I
all
would
right.
agree,
And then
You're
we're
Mark.
going to,
right.
yeah. So now we're going to introduce a few more guests. And we have, let me add to the stage, Okerta. How are
Hi,
you doing this evening?
I'm doing well. Feeling well.
All right. Now, are you an author?
No, no, I'm not an author.
Okay. All right. But I'm sure you are authoring your own story. I'm sure that.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. It's just not written on page yet.
Absolutely. And then our final guest, I'd like to welcome Pastor French. How are you?
Well, I'm doing well and glad to be with you guys tonight.
All right. So I guess you know what? I'll go ahead and I'll just start with just a question that I have. And first of all, if you like, we can kind of like if you want to go into what you enjoyed about what not enjoy, but just your experience of reading the book. And I know me, Dr. Calenthia, Aloja, and Mark, we've already kind of shared our views, but I'd like to hear from, I'll start with Pastor French. Can you give us some words on the
Absolutely.
book?
Absolutely. The book is definitely a tearjerker. I'm a bucket of tears always anyway, but I don't know if it's because of my connection to Lashonder. She's my godchild. And just much of the book I had the privilege of living through. And so I'm a witness of all of the truths that is recorded there. But it's been a hard time for me to get through this second book. I mean, the second edition of the book, because it's such a good read, as both all of you have said so far. And I promise you, if I can just keep my tears under control, I probably can get a little further. But I think I got about to the fourth chapter so far. But I'm so blessed and so godly proud of our author, and just grateful that God has allowed me to have a place in her life.
Oh, that's amazing. And then Okerta.
Well, good evening again, once again, everyone. I just want to say, some of the experiences, she didn't go into in depthness of some of the trials, of the personal things that I know, that I experienced with her too. I know her personally as well. Me and Lashonda, we were bunkies, or what they call roommates, and when we was incarcerated. And so during that time, we shared a lot of things about one another, about our family, visions and goals, just life in general. And so she got to know pretty well my family, as well as, she being the only child. But she did share with me some about her kids, not into in depthness. But once she was released, me and her stayed connected. We both was released. We stayed connected, and she gave, you know, told me about this here, and I didn't really find out about the book coming written till it was already almost to the end. And at the end, she told me about it, and she sent me a. So I sent and bought a copy of the book. And once I got a copy of the book, I, like so many of you others, I sat, as soon as I got the book, and I sat and I read the book all the way through. And it really, really pulled on the strings of my heart, again, from having that personal impact, that personal knowledge of who she is today, and understanding a little bit of the things that she shared with me about her past, and some of the things that she's overcome, and how I'm seeing her today. I was like, wow, look at God. To me, this book was a true testimony of her faith, of God working in her life and through her life, truly transitioning her and turning her life completely around. I was even there with her through the time when the situation, incident with her son. I was standing there right there with her, trying to being a support. Um, so yeah, it was quite a few things. It was really, really impactful to me, the whole book. Now I'm getting to know her grandkids after the fact. I didn't know them as much before, because the relationship wasn't as close to them in the beginning. But as she's coming to know them, and me and her union, she introduced me as her friend, and so me and the kids are also gaining a relationship too. So I'm just excited for this book and for what she has done, all that she has accomplished through this book, and how God has really impacted her life and changed her life over through the process of it.
Wow. Yeah, that's amazing. Sis,
Mhm.
you sound like you about to
Yeah, I am trying to
say.
I am kind of choking up.
Yes.
Yeah, I
And
was
so
getting emotional. I was getting really emotional.
yeah. And so before we all start
Mhm.
to dive in, because that's what I want us to do. I want us to all like just kind of dive in and ask some questions. But I do want to give Lashonda the floor first just to ask you, again, for all of the new viewers, what inspired you to write this book?
Mhm.
I don't know. Here I am again. You know, here I am again sharing my story and what inspired me to write this book. Um every time I share my answer, it grows or it changes, or I'm learning more reasons why I wrote the book. You know, initially, when I wrote the book, I just wanted to share how far God had brought me. I wanted to for it to express the power of God and who He truly is. And the book was never to be about me. Honestly, the book was to be, look what God can do. Look how He can heal. Look how He can set free. Look how He can deliver. So initially, it was about the glory of God, and that's what and I can think of writing it to overcome, to just get it all out, to pour my life on pages, and not hold these things to myself, just being able to express myself freely, to share my story freely, to help someone else heal, to just let someone else know that they can overcome. Yeah.
Oh,
Mm. Wow.
yeah.
That's that is a ear. It's just a mouthful, but it's just touching because, as everybody has said, I got the book and I could not put it down myself. But what I want you to know is that um, every word on on those pages, I felt them. I felt them every page I turned. I felt what you were saying. Um, I always say in all of my podcasts, I said we as women um, hold so many roles. But as you said, allowing God to take hold of you and allow your story to reach the millions, which I mean, it hit me so hard that I cried and I just held the book and I said, Lord, I know you are real. And so I just thank you for taking the opportunity to put that on paper, to allow people to see what God is and how He can move mountains and turn things over. So I just thank you for taking the time to allow Him to use you and put these words on paper. I mean, I'm actually told somebody today, because I had this in my office, and they gravitated to the cover of the book, and I said, if you want to see the working of God, you need to pick this book up. She said, well, I want to take it. I said, no, you got to buy it. Now, I'm
Yes, that
still I'm
part.
still in the
That part.
publishing game. I got to make sure that you get your royalties. But I just want to say thank you. Truly, truly thank you for um, putting these words on paper. I think this is a book that needs to be shared with many, many, many people. Um, yeah, I'm getting choked up because I can remember some of the stuff, um, the testimonies of your children and your grandchildren, and it was just like so raw and candid that it was just wow. I can't put it in words.
Yeah, so you had a when I started reading the book, I started at work reading it, and that was the wrong place to be. That was the wrong place to be starting to read the book. It really was because in between working and I'm doing my work, but I'm saying, did she make it? Did she make it? Like every time I got somewhere else, I want to get to the next page, just like Mark was saying, what's gonna happen next? What's gonna happen next? Did she make it? That was my thing. Like every chapter I went through, I was, because it kind of hit me personally, because your story is almost a match to one of my favorite cousins, she also made it through. Um, the only thing she has contact with her children, the other than their 20s and 30s, around the same age your children are. And so in between working, reading the book, fighting back tears, I can barely work because that was not the place for me to have that book. But I took it back the next day to work. I kept it in my backpack because I wanted to get through to see if you made it. And when I got to the end, I was like, woo, she made it. She made it.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like she made it, because we know, those of us who grew up in the 80s and 90s know what you're talking about. Okay. I'm from the west side of Chicago. So I know I felt that. I felt when we went to family get-togethers asking about my cousin. And when I read your story, I was like, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Like the way that came through our family, the way that all of that happened, and it happened so fast. Like one minute we were outside playing like kids, the next minute the community changed, everything changed. But my thing is like, let me hurry up and get to the end, because I want to make sure she made it. And that's when I start crying. That's where the tears really came from me. I was like, okay, whew,
You can
she
breathe.
make it. She made it. So now I can leave the book at home. I don't have to take the book, sit it back on my desk in my cubicle, because yeah, I told Cynthia the other night the same thing. I was telling Dr. Cynthia, I was like, we were talking about something, and I was like, did you get to the part where, this happened and that happened? And she said, I'm almost there. Don't tell me. But I didn't want to tell her. I was out because we're gonna be here on the show anyway, so we know you made it. But see, everybody didn't make it like you.
Mm.
Do you
Mhm.
understand?
Yeah.
Everybody didn't make it like
Wow.
you did.
Mhm.
Even some of people are still here in the physical, but up here they still didn't make it.
Yeah. It's a big difference.
And that's why I'm so happy to see your beautiful face, you know, with your pretty smile and everything. It's just, yeah, I can't wait to. Are you coming up here? Look, I already moved to September.
Well, Alonja, guess what? So you met her already. So we met
What?
Lashonda. We met her in Houston, Texas. So that's where we met
You
her,
have to
and
remind me,
we
because my
introduced her to everybody in the family.
In the circle.
Yeah, in the circle.
oh my
So
god.
it
Let
was
me
just
say
so many
something.
people.
Let me say something while it's still fresh on my heart to say this. So I believe that I remember us discussing, writing the book was not hard. Um, I tried to write it other ways, and that was a struggle for me. But publishing the book, actually sharing my truth with everybody, was hard for me.
Mhm.
And I think we carry this level of shame, like guilt, all of our dirty secrets, anything that we've ever done, we don't want to put that out. We don't want to put that, for everybody to read. You just want to keep it in the hood, wherever it happened at.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
at some point, I needed to get rid of the shame. I needed to get rid of the guilt. And that is how God showed me. That's what he directed me to do, was to write it down, to get it out, and then to share it with the world. And
Mhm.
so I just wanted to interject that the heaviness that I carried, and the shame, the guilt, the mental illnesses, the drug abuse, the rape, the prostitution, just a list of things, the molestation, as a child, just things happening back to back, back to back, back to back. When do you reach a point in your life where you can actually say that these things happened to me and I got through them, versus you get through them and just don't tell anybody. So I don't want to be the person who has all this going on, and when I meet people, I can't help them heal. I can't help them overcome because I'm trying to hold my story, under a rock. So what better way to share who I was and who I am, and I'm still evolving today. So you pulled that out of me. That is Miss Hadley.
Mm-hmm.
A comment that you made pulled that out of me. So I wanted to just share that really quick.
Thank you.
Can I interject?
Mm-hmm.
May I interject, please?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Well, with her saying that, it was the very thing that I was thinking, and I want to just applaud her for her transparency, because we know in our community that we are notorious for sweeping things under the rug.
Of course.
But
Yep.
in the world of Christian, in the world of people that are walking with God, I've come to learn, according to Scripture, in John chapter 8, verse 32, it says, "And ye shall know the truth,
Mm.
and the truth shall make you free."
That's right.
That's right.
And sometimes we hear the word and we know the word, but we never apply the word.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm so glad that God came close enough to Lashonda where she got serious about her relationship with him enough to try his principles and put them into action in her life. And now she can say that I'm free
Mm.
from
Yes.
everything I had to deal with, from every trial, every trauma, every traumatic experience she had to undergo. All of it is in the book, but she went through all of it and made it out to the other side.
Yeah.
What a
Mhm.
testimony that is for someone who's
Yep.
struggling,
Yes.
someone who's trying to make it to the other side, someone that's going through some of the very same things that she's gone through. And I just thank God that she was strong enough and brave enough to face her fears and to come forth with the truth. Because according to Scripture, the truth shall make you free.
Amen.
Wow.
That's the truth.
That is the truth.
Mm-hmm.
That is the truth.
Wow.
Yeah.
Uh, Mark, is there any parts of the book that was surprising or interesting, or any questions that you have?
So, well, first of all, I got to give a round of applause to Miss Lashonder Demery for just bearing her heart and soul like that. No, seriously, because it takes a lot of courage and faith and fidelity to be able to. I call this book a book, testimony. It's just
Yeah.
one large testimony of her trials and her tribulation, and after everything that she's gone through that I've read, I'm even surprised I'm looking at her right now through my
That's
screen.
what I
Like, this is
said.
not real. And then
Yeah.
Yeah.
she's radiant. She's
Amen.
positive. She
Yes.
has an aura, a glow about her. I mean, this is a testament of how God can deliver and how God can transform and how God can heal us. And in the with the book in general, a couple parts that really stood out for me. And I loved every chapter. I mean, I didn't love what she went through, but as far as the story, it just kept
Mhm.
me. I was intrigued, so it kept me going. But I think two of the parts that touched me the most were the beginning forewords from her grandchildren, or well, the first one was from her daughter. I believe it was Mikhail, or I don't know how
Mhm.
is it pronounced, Mikhail?
Is it Michael
It's
or?
Michael. Her name is
Michael.
Whitney Michael. Yes, sir.
Michael. Oh, like Michael. I didn't want to mispronounce it. So Michael. So after reading, when I read her excerpt, and then she talked about how for a long time she was mad at her mother because she felt her mother was never, um, in her life, and then she was so angry at her. She carried that anger for her for years, and it caused her to be angry at everybody else. You know what I'm saying? And I know how neglect when you are neglected, that causes you to feel like the world doesn't trust you or nobody in the world likes you or is out for you. I felt that way. So I related in a sense to what Michael felt at that moment. And I'm glad that toward the end of that excerpt, she was she was starting to rebuild her relationship with her mother, you know. And she admitted that it's still not completely there, but the building process has started. So that was touching. And then another part was the excerpt from the granddaughters, and then you know, especially the daughter of one of her sons who unfortunately was murdered. And you know, just for them to write something like that. I mean, for I believe one of them was 12 and the other one was,
Mhm.
if I'm not mistaken, 13 or
Yeah.
14. I think there were a couple years in age apart, but one thing that stood out to me was how vivid they remembered what happened. You know, every time you talk to kids or children, they remember traumatic scenes that
Yeah.
happen. You know, they trauma never escapes them. I know that because, you know, y'all have heard my story, the members of my She Publishing fam, about how I was bullied being younger and the trauma that has remained with me since those days. So I know how trauma is, and when those kids talked about it, it was crazy. It was like it was a movie that I was reading, and just reading that in real time was like, man, how do her granddaughters have the courage to expound on that tragedy? You know, like I wouldn't be able to talk if I lost my father or my uncle that way. You know, just in that form of fashion. Like it was crazy. And I think one other scene, and I'm gonna let all of y'all talk because I don't want to take up the whole stream. But one other scene that stood out to me was the scene where she was entering her 20s, I believe, or like in her late teens, and then she was, I think, hitchhiking, and she was picked up by the two strangers, and
Yeah.
then she didn't you know, one, she just, I don't know, they gave her something to drink, and then she passed out. Then she woke up, and then she was naked, unclothed. And then she was looking for a way to escape because they were driving with her. She didn't know what was going to happen, so she was just waiting for her first opportunity. It was like I was reading a movie. It was like, are you serious? Like this? What?
This really
Like,
happened.
yeah, like did this
Mhm.
really, exactly, like did this really
Mhm.
happen? Like just every facet, every event that she went through was it was just another showing of God and how He's able to deliver.
Yeah.
Because I'm coming from the inner city too. I'm from a section of Queens, New York. So there's a lot of people that have her story, and they were not fortunate enough to make it out of those type of situations. You know, especially being kidnapped or abducted, and then there's stories that come out in the New York Times I used to read when I was younger every day of someone being picked up and they're never heard from again. So
Yeah.
for her to survive that was unbelievable. So
It's a blessing, a
man,
living blessing.
yeah,
Yeah. I do want to say that Royce Dixon Sr., he did say the journey we sometimes go through are not just for us, but to leave footprints for others that are to come behind us.
yes,
Hmm.
Mhm.
mm-hmm,
Yeah,
facts,
it is definitely true.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, any specific questions for Lashonda before I play a 2-minute snippet of an interview we had with her? And then I just kind of want to talk about that clip because we get into mental health. But
Mhm.
any other direct questions for Lashonda? Yep. Okay. Well, look, I have one for you before I play the snippet. As far as So, can you speak to the meaning behind the title? What does it symbolize for you? I always wonder how we come up with different titles. Like Dr. Calinthia Miller, her book is Unmasked. It's like, hold up, what is that about? So the title Tears of a Lost Soul, how did you decide to name your book that?
Well, I wanted to. It could mean a number of things. I mean, I could really go on and on about the title of the book, but the heart of the meaning is for those who have been forgotten, those who have were lost, within our souls. Like I can just remember just roaming the streets, just lost, and I was so very sad. Um, I was at I was just depleted, and so I can just remember my tears, and I can remember crying out, and nobody could hear me. And so, Tears of a Lost Soul is a representation of those who are lost, and of those who can be found. So it's just a matter of when you think about the tears, and when you think about being lost, this book is a representation of those of us who were lost or are lost. So that's what, as I was trying to think of different titles of a book, you know, I gave a description to how the book, before the book came about. So that's what I was actually, Tears of a Lost Soul, just your tears, your voice, who you are, it needs to be heard.
Yes, yes.
Oh, I love that.
That's beautiful.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so I'm about to play this clip really quick, and then we'll get into maybe talking about mental health, and we get, Okurta and the pastor involved and giving
Yeah.
us some feedback and advice, right?
Yeah.
All right, so let's see if I can do this, y'all. Oh,
When I do drugs, it affects me differently. And when I go all the way out of my mind, right? And that is how it affected my sons. It turned them into somebody totally different. And so they were dealing with mental health issues as well, just the same way that I did. And I was looking at the situation. I can remember talking to them, and I was talking to their mental health instead of them, you know. So it's like um, it's just a lot. And I guess I'm saying all that to say I stayed in my addiction because I failed to take care of my mental health. And like a lot of times, we don't want to admit we're having mental health issues. We want to pretend we know things. We want to pretend we understand. We want to act like something is not affecting us. And when we go through a lot, it does affect us. It still affects me today. But everybody wanna, they got it together and all the things, and this image that they put on, this violent character, these images that they put on for to be accepted by society, actually ended their lives.
Can I say something real quick? Uh, when she was actually answering my question when she made that statement, because I remember I asked her through Facebook about the incident with her sons, and then how the tragic passing of one of her sons, what led to that. I asked her about that, and I was
mhm.
afraid to ask her because I knew it was a touchy subject, so I was reluctant to even ask the question. But graciously, Miss Lashonder Demery was able to answer the question and was able to reveal about her son's battle with mental health, and how it their significant issues kind of wedged between them, and then to a point where they could never see eye to eye, or even be in the same room without wanting to do harm to the other. So that right there was like, man, because I just thought about it because I have two brothers, you know, and it was like I couldn't imagine getting to a point where, you know, I could even think about, you know, unaliving my brothers or anything like that. That just, but some, when you look at the circumstances and then you look at all the factors and then also maybe the drugs too and played a part in it as well, and it could cloud judgment. So it just all those factors that led to that. And then when Lashana answered that for me, I was like, it just had me reflecting on, man, how we need to take mental health seriously, and we need to love others,
Mhm.
because we don't know what type of battle they're secretly fighting. We don't know what struggle they're going through.
Mhm.
So that's why I've tried to
Yeah.
always treat people
Yeah.
with respect, everybody, because I don't know
Mhm.
what you're fighting. I don't know what you're dealing with, you know.
Yeah.
So that was what I took from that.
Yeah. So, Okurta, what do you have to say about that mental health,
Uh,
that video clip?
about that video clip, it brought me back to a memory that I shared with Lashonda when we was in the room together, incarcerated. Um, I think I had drifted off to sleep, and in during that time I was asleep. I don't know, it was a dream or a vision, but anyway, I woke up and I was sharing it with Lashonda, and I was telling her about healing and wholeness, and then in it was like I was having a conversation with God, and I was like, okay, God, so you're gonna bring healing and wholeness to me? He said yes and no. I said, huh? And he said, I'm going to bring healing and wholeness to you as well as use you to bring healing and wholeness to others. And I shared that with Lashonda that day when we was in the room together. And so what I'm saying is that she has been a part of the vision, what God has showed me from the beginning. Not only was she going to be healed, but she was going to be made whole, which I seen the part of where she went through some of the healing process of what God was doing in her life. I saw that hand on hand, in person, the healing that she went through. We've had our blowouts and come back and all that because of that process, you know. But it was what God had to do because he was refining her and making her whole, and she had to go through what she had to go through, and I had to go through what I had to go through because we both was going through a healing and being made whole. And so that right there sings a lot to me when we talking about mental health, when I'm talking about healing, not just healing of the body, healing of the whole person, the holistic person, mentally, spiritually, and naturally, holistically. And that was has taken place in Lashonda's life. I've seen it. I've seen her life transform right before my eyes. And so when you talk about that mental part, I've seen that. I've encountered that, and just to see her where she's at today, I know it was a part of God vision that he already showed me. And when I shared it with her, it was a part for her too, to be made, to be healed and made whole.
Mm. Can I
Mm.
interject just really quickly?
Mhm.
Um, I talk on a lot of platforms about mental health, and that's one of my big push. What the stigma that we need to really start breaking is that what happens in the household stays in the household.
Mhm.
Because if we continue to live that narrative, nobody is going to ever want to seek the help. So I think the platform that you have shared, Lashondra, about mental health, about your struggles, about your drug addiction, about all the things that have happened to you, we need to hear those stories, because without hearing those stories, they don't think that they're true. So
Mhm.
we need to change that narrative that what happens in the household stays in the household. That's something that I've heard all my life in the Black community. We don't need to go to mental. You don't need to spend your money to have somebody to listen to your problems. Sometimes we do. We need to step outside of that narrative and allow people to see how vulnerable we are. Uh, Shanita said the title of my book is Unmasked, and I titled it because we need to peel back the layers of who we are. We need to dig deep and understand that some things we have packed so down deep that we can't even see the bottom. And
Mhm.
so we need to change that narrative that it's okay to say that I'm not okay. We
Mhm.
need to understand that men do cry when they're
Yes.
supposed to cry, because if they don't cry, they're going to blow up.
Yes.
So I just wanted to put that out there in the atmosphere that we need to change that narrative. We need to change it ASAP, because with COVID being still a part of us, more people are a part of that mental health number. And so we need to find ways to put them in spaces where they're comfortable to be able to share their truth.
That's a generational curse that we need to break.
Of course,
People talk about
I agree.
generational curses. That's a
Mhm.
that's a huge generational curse in our community that we definitely need to break
Of
because,
course.
Absolutely.
yeah, it's very serious. Especially in today's world where we're
Mhm.
ruled by, we're in the modern day technology. We live in a technological age, so it seems like everybody is trying to keep up with the Joneses, or you know we live in a microwave society. They want things right here, right now. And
Mhm.
then they don't want to wait for results. They don't want to wait for answers. Well, God says that if you have the faith the size of a mustard seed, you could move mountains. But you got to have that faith. The faith got to start somewhere. So you have to have faith in yourself to seek the help that you need. If you need that help, just say, I can't travel this journey alone. I need a help me. I need someone that could guide me. It took me a while for me to get there because I was a prideful person at times. Even I was struggling with what I was struggling with. It took me a while to admit that I needed help. So
Yeah.
Yeah, Pastor, what do you have to say about mental health and
Well, that's
the
one of
the
my
the
favorite
snippet?
subjects as well because I don't know if I said earlier, but I am uh, working on becoming a licensed therapist. I do work in the field of mental health and have been since 2016. I retired from a 30-year career in education in the classroom in 2019, and I went to school to finish a master's in counseling. So I was a 2025 graduate of Liberty University just recently. And I want to
Congratulations.
just piggyback on Dr. Miller because she pointed out exactly what I wanted to say. We've got to get beyond the taboo and take the mask off if we're going to ever heal,
Yep.
and especially in our community, because we can't speak of any other community other than the one we're from.
Yes, right.
But we can speak truths about our own experiences, and I'm so proud of Lashonder that she was brave enough to do so. But I'm so grateful that there's liberty in truth.
Mhm.
There's liberty in truth, and I think that's liberty we will never discover as long as we wear the mask. We can really literally be set free and can have life on another level if we can understand how to embrace truth and walk in it.
Yep.
And I think we can all testify to that
Mhm.
because there's some skeletons in all of us.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
And when we are able to face those fears and just repent of those things, then God can get to those things and healing can begin. And so
Mhm.
I'm just blessed by the fact that this is occurring in our community.
Yeah.
It's going to give courage to those that are sitting. Uh, I did a podcast about a year ago during Mental Health Awareness Month about suffering in silence.
Mm. Yes.
So often we suffer and
Mhm.
we put on this mask as though we are okay. In fact, there's a young lady in my ministry, my wife and I was just ministering to on last night. We missed from being in church a couple of Sundays, and we called her and found out she was literally at the place of taking her own life because she said she would come to church and people would ask her how she was doing, and she would put the mask on and say, "Well, I'm fine," but literally she was toe up
Mhm.
from the flow up.
There you go.
needed a checkup from the neck.
Wow.
Mhm.
Wow.
And we
Yeah.
literally prayed her to a place on just last night to just encourage her, that this is not the end. You know, God is still able to deliver. And Lashonda's testimony is going to be so vital in ministry. It's going to be so strong, and it's going to speak to so many people that are struggling. That's what I'm excited about.
Yeah.
I'm excited about the lives that's going to be changed. I'm excited about the people that's going to find hope in the midst of despair. So I'm just excited that on the subject of mental health, we've had it forever. We just have not owned it.
Mm-hmm.
We've dealt with traumas and struggles, and I was glad to hear the young man talk about generational curse. Now, at the end of the day, we're not responsible for the generations before us.
No.
We're just dealing with the hand we were dealt.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so sometimes we've got to come to the understanding that it's not my fault how I turned out. When I was born to a mother when she was only 13 years old. We know a 13-year-old is not ready to be a mother. So that alone is trauma.
Mm-hmm.
And that bringing a child in a life that you're not able to provide for. So just that alone will scar your life even before you have a chance to live. So when you talk about mental health, it has existed in our community forever. We just have not owned it.
Mm-hmm.
We have not been transparent enough to open the door and deal with it.
Yeah.
But I want to say in my closing to someone that might be listening, no matter how dark it is, no matter how hard your situation and how deep your trauma goes, you can be set free. No matter what you faced and no matter what you've gone through, we serve a God that's able to set you free. And you can start life on another level. And you can have happiness on this next level. And I just wanted to share that in my closing.
Wow. Well, you know what? This has been let's show them books, y'all. This has been a really great roundtable, Confessions of a Publisher roundtable. And, after this interview, I am going to be dropping this video on Confessions of a Publisher platform as well as on my Facebook page, which this is not on at the moment. And I will also share the video with each one of you because I think this conversation is great. It needs to be heard. And I just, after I ask Lashonda this last question, I just want to just go around the room and just introduce ourselves again, just where you from, the title of your book, if you are an author, and just say who you are, to Lashonda. So, Lashonda, my final question of the evening is what advice would you give to someone sitting on their story but afraid to write it?
If you are sitting on your story and afraid to write it, I don't know. It, it just depends on why you're afraid. I would explore the reasons why I'm afraid. You know, other than laziness, if you're facing some type of fear or if you're facing some type of shame, um, I would suggest you get in touch with another author and share your struggles with them. If you are thinking about writing your story, and if you feel like your story can help somebody else, it will, and it can. So it could be a number of reasons why we sit on our stories, but I'm just encouraging, if you have a story, tell it. If you have a story, tell it. And I think if you read my book, it'll encourage you to write yours.
For sure.
I think if you read
Yes.
my book, it would definitely encourage you to write yours. So she always put me on the spot, y'all.
You know it. You know it.
Yeah, and I
You know,
love
you
her for
talk to
that.
Curta, right? That's who we
Yes,
talking
she,
about, right?
Now,
yes, she.
now,
I felt that.
She
I
she
felt
she
that
she she does it out of love though. She does it out of love though. She loves you. That's why she does that.
so if you are sitting on that story, get in touch with a publisher. Get in touch with She Publishing.
Okay.
Y'all call me. I will get y'all connected to her ASAP, and she'll pull your
Thank you.
story out of you. So get in touch
Aw.
with another author, though. Get in touch with somebody and tell them what's on your heart and tell them what you want to do. And you can be encouraged. Once you get connected to an encourager, you can be and you will be encouraged. So be encouraged on tonight.
So where can the viewers get your book?
My book is on, I have a list. It's like on 25. It's on 25 platforms, Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, Goodreads, and the list goes on and on and on. She Publishing. Um, right now, for a few months, I'll be shipping the book, free shipping and handling. If uh, if anyone contact me personally, and I've been placing my phone number out there. Um, to be able to send you a signed copy. And my phone number is 318-762-7184. Again, that's 318-762-7184. And I can send you a signed copy, and the shipping and handling will be free. So I'm going to be doing that just to sow seeds. And yeah, you can also get the book from me. But yeah, you can get your book, grab your copy off of Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Goodreads. And then I don't have the rest of them in my memory bank, but it is on all major platforms. And I don't know, God did that too, y'all.
Absolutely.
All right.
I should
Yeah,
I
and
should
then
I should have went to
mhm.
the source. I needed a signed copy. I bought mine from
Yeah,
Amazon, but
you
Wait,
still
but
can.
you could
yeah.
get your signed copy. Uh-oh, Pastor
I,
got his signed copy.
see, Pastor one up me. It's all good though. It is what it is. It's
I
all
got my
good.
signed copy
Ocarta
too.
does too.
Okay, Okerta. You see, so I'm the one that's behind then. So
I want if anybody were to get this book, get it just for chapter 24. And it talks about, it's a very short chapter, but in this chapter, I was declared mentally ill and I was a ward of the state. Yeah, in chapter 24. So I want everybody to know one thing: look at God,
look
Look
at
He
at
God.
set
God.
me
Mhm.
free.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yes.
I love everybody, and I think everybody going to be introducing themselves and doing all the things. So y'all just go ahead and get the floor.
Yeah.
What are the state where?
And where are you currently residing, Lashonda?
I live in Houston, Texas.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
north northeast of Houston, Texas.
All right. And then we're gonna with our guests, we're gonna have you guys just introduce yourself, where you from, and then we're gonna let the sister companies close us out, y'all.
Okay.
So
Okay.
Okerta,
Okay.
let us know where you're from.
I
And
am.
yep.
Okay, I am Okerta Mitchell. I am from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, where I am now located, and I am the founder of Healing and Wholeness Transitional Living Home. And my co-founder right there, sister. Well, look at me finna call her sister, Lashonder Demery. Yeah, that's where I'm at. That's where I'm doing, and we'll be believing to touch many lives and bring healing and wholeness to many through what God has done in us and through us unto all.
Wow. So yeah, we got about 4, 5 different states on this screen right now. Okay, Pastor French, where you from
I'm
and what church
okay.
you're
I'm
from?
Pastor Gregory French, located in Shreveport, Louisiana. I'm pastor of the Rabboni Kingdom Church International, uh, where we have churches in the states as well as in South Africa and in Trinidad. Also, I'm a songwriter, uh, recording artist. In my earlier years, I was pretty much just a musician, as you could have you noticed some of the musical symbols behind me, and did take the privilege of putting pen to a song uh, for Tears of a Lost Soul as well. Yes, and have not did all of the copyright just yet, so just want to put that out there. But I also am a pursuing author, working on a book of devotionals, and then there's a couple other books that I know that God has invested in me uh, where ministry is concerned. So I need your prayers and support in my future endeavors. As we go forward. I did write the forward for Lashonda's book, and
It's
maybe
beautiful.
that'll open the door for some other opportunities.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, by the way, that forward was amazing.
Thank you.
Like that could be a whole interview in itself,
Hmm.
Yes. We need to
you
bring him
know.
back.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
yeah. I mean,
Me
I
too.
think
We
this
really
whole
do.
conversation was just great. Just this entire group. We may need to just talk about a bunch of stuff, y'all.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, and then Mike, where are you from?
Yeah,
And what's your series? What's the series you got?
hey, what's up? So
Oh,
again, my name is Mark Beausejour, aka the Black Cyrano, which is named after my favorite literary character. So I'm originally from Queens, New York. I currently reside in Atlanta, Georgia. Well, Metro Atlanta, Georgia. And I'm the author of the Black Cyrano series, which is a 7-volume young adult urban fiction novel series. And it just is a urban fiction, but it's a range of genre from sports novels to uh, basically crime fiction, and I also write social justice novels as well, including my award-winning novel Fires of Justice. So um, and like many others in my She Publishing family, all my books can be found on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, and of course She Publishing LLC now. And I was blessed to have joined the She Publishing family in 2023. And I do have some connection to the pastor in terms of writing. I'm not a songwriter, but I did start my writing career as a poet. I've been a poet since I was 12 years old. And I didn't used to share my talent either. I used to keep my poems to myself until some people kind of coerced me into sharing it. So I shared my poems. Yeah, they had me against a barrel, over a barrel, I guess you could say, to share it. But I'm glad I did because I received a positive reception to it. And then it encouraged me to continue. And I even started writing poems for other people, especially for people who didn't feel like they have the words to express themselves. So that's why I called myself Black Cyrano, because it was one of the things that I used to do where I used to write poems, and people didn't know where the poems came from. They just knew that they liked the word combinations that I stringed together, and that God blessed me with God blessed me with wordplay basically. And that's what it was. And I just thank
Yeah.
him, and you know, again, my series can be found anywhere, and I'm just grateful and happy to be among these amazing writers and authors and publishers, and happy to be talking about this amazing book. And it's been said at nauseum, but seriously, y'all need to go get this book.
Get that book. All right.
Go
So I just
get
want
it.
to thank our guests for coming on, and the honored guest, the guest of honor, Lashonda Demery. And let's give her another round of applause. And thank you
Oh,
guys so
I,
much.
one more announcement. So
Uh-huh.
just real quick, and before I'll be quiet for good. But my book signing is scheduled for
Yes.
Saturday at the Crazy Book Lady bookstore. It's from 12 to 4. It's going to be at 5058 Alatoona Gateway in Ackworth, Georgia. So if we have any listeners that are in the Metro Atlanta area and want to come by and are searching for another summer read, definitely come check my books out. Um, and I went by and I checked out the store today and I went over the particulars with the owner.
Mhm.
And we spoke about some things and about the royalties and about where we'll be setting up. So we made some last minute kind of like go overs and preparations for Saturday. So definitely,
Okay.
if you guys can come through, and of course, I'll be in Indianapolis July 18th through July 20th. So Black Cyrano's busy in the month of
Yep.
July,
That's
So
good.
And I will say, like, Mark is one of our biggest supporters, you guys. So go out, support his book signings, and we will all be back. And so I just want to again thank you guys and sisters. We're gonna close out Confessions of a Publisher.
Right.
All right. Bye.
God bless
you have a
everybody.
good night.
Good
I love
night.
y'all. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, ladies.
Yeah. So you know what? While we have
Pleasure.
the guest of honor, let's go ahead and close with her still on here. Sisters, you could, where you from and all that other good stuff. And what a great show we had
Yeah, it's an
today.
amazing
Yeah,
show.
that's beautiful.
So I guess I'm talking. So I am Dr. Calinthia Miller. I am the CEO of Allure Publishing, and I am reside out of where I'm at, North Carolina.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it was a wonderful, wonderful conversation. Again, thank you for being so transparent, allowing yourself to be vulnerable and really taking down the walls and unmasking yourself so the world can see what God can do if you allow him to do it. So I just thank you for allowing us to be able to interview you tonight and letting the world know that there is people out here that looks just like them. It's just about
Hmm.
having the courage to let go and let God.
God bless you.
Yeah. Been inspired.
Hi, I'm Aloja
Inspired.
Hatley. I, you know, um, this book was powerful. I don't think you realize how truly powerful it is. I think you know it's powerful, but you ain't seen nothing yet. You ain't seen nothing yet, most definitely. So I am Aloja Hatley. I am living in Aurora, Illinois, by way of Chicago. I am the CEO of Inspired Publishing. I'm an author, entrepreneur, and a autism advocate. My 22-year-old son is autistic, so I advocate for them, mental health. That is on the top of my list most of the time. Um, and I'm so glad I got in touch with Shanita. They got me and Calinthia in touch with her together, and now we're meeting you. So you see how God worked.
Mhm.
You see how
Full
God worked.
circle.
A
Full
full
circle.
circle.
Full circle.
Yep. And so I do want everybody to, again, just to grab Tears of a Lost Soul from Amazon, Barnes and Noble, She Publishing, or if you want that signed copy, get it directly from Lashonder Demery. We will be putting her number in her contact information in the chat at some point after the show. And then I do want you guys to know that next month, the book is Sister to Sister. That is by Aloja Hadley. So we are going to begin starting tomorrow, July 1st, purchasing that book so that we can do a roundtable about that. And then we're going to invite all who have grabbed a copy of this book to come and do a roundtable just as we did today. And yeah, without saying anything else, because we are about 1 hour and 4 minutes, y'all. We 4 minutes over.
One big
Okay.
thing, sis, before we get off, if you're
Yes.
on here, please go out and become a member of a Confession of a Publisher
Yes.
book club. That's where you're going to find all the information in regards to the upcoming books and what we're doing. So please go out. If you know anybody, if you're out here, go out and become a member.
Yeah, thank you for that, sis, because we want to start going live on that particular
On that platform.
platform. And then obviously, I just got to say one last thing. We really hope to see you at the 2025 She Conference and Networking Convention. Okay. I want you guys to meet us in the Piano Lounge. It is a weekend full of fun. It is September 19th is the meet and greet. September 20th is the authors gala. We are like at 70% capacity with all of our VIP tickets already gone. So I am super excited. We will be honoring all of our authors. The sister publishing companies will have awards for some of our authors. And so we are really, really, really excited about that party. And we have a major announcement at
Major.
that party.
With a big
Major.
M, with a capital M, major.
Boom. Okay. All right. So again, thank you, Lashonder Demery, for being our guest and for being the book for the Confessions of a Publisher Book Club. And with that said, good night, everyone.
Good night, y'all. I love
Good
y'all.
night.
Nice.
We
Love you
love you
guys.
too.
See y'all.